there?
Being marginalized.
I think you got promoted.
I don't know about this, but
You're over there. Look, your chair is nicer.
I know. Actually, I do enjoy this chair.
Yeah.
This is a much more comfortable chair than that one I got stuck right there.
I like this. We're going to give this a try.
Well, we're
is that okay?
sitting here right now, so it doesn't really matter, does it?
That's right. Try before we die, everybody. Welcome back. It's a regular episode night, and Mal and I have mixed things up a little at the bar. We're trying a few new things out, and we hope it works.
Yeah, no, this is actually pretty impressive. I get a completely different view this time around. I now I can stare at those bottles, the ones I really want.
Well, we might as well get a bottle opened.
I would like to see a bottle
So
opened,
the format's the same. 400-something bottles of whiskey in the bar. I'm going to take one down, share a little bit, not really pass it around, and then put it on the open shelf. But in the meantime, we'll tell you what we learned and think about it.
Yeah, no, sounds good. Let's press a button.
I'm going to do it.
No.
You're going to tell me the number.
Ooh, 173.
173.
You're traveling.
I am a walking man.
This is going to be new for you.
I am on the backside.
You are.
I am on the backside.
I wanna see how you-
By your suite. By the Helm's Deep
That
suite.
is. It is by the Helm's Deep
I'm
suite.
off to get it. You guys are over here waiting for me. It's awesome. Bottle number 173. So we're at 148, 58, 68, 69, 70, 1, 2, 3. A Distillers edition from 2006, bottled in 2020. This is a 14-year-old. We have a 43% ABV. It's a Highland. Just kind of keeping Malcolm in suspense. We have an Oban.
Ooh.
Western Scotland Seaside Highland Whiskey. Distillers edition. Can't wait to open it. We'll see you back at the bar.
What you got there?
A bottle of Oban, Distillers edition. Bottled in 2020, distilled in 2006.
It's been a while since you've been on the backside of the bar.
It has. We spent a lot of time here at this part of the bar and this
Yes.
part. Again, we're not in charge of where it goes. It's the magic box. And it is nice to have taken a walk today. So right off the bat, we know it's the Oban because their Distillers edition is this, where are we? Blueberry? What color are we here on this label?
That's like a deep blue.
It is a very deep blue. And their traditional label is more of this, what color are we there?
I call that like a parchment.
Uncooked pasta?
That's actually rather colourful, yes.
Yes. So the Oban, everybody. So we're just going to get this cracked open and breathing.
Yeah.
All right.
So I'm actually enjoying this new setup. It's very different. But it allows me to take in parts of the bar that I usually don't do.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to note about the Oban Distillers editions, Mal, is that they do one every year.
Yeah.
And so the way that you'll notice on this bottle is that the ages are right here, the distillation date and the bottling date.
All right.
All right, here we go.
It's a little bit tight. Nice sound.
Yeah.
Oh, you have been getting better at this. Those are probably some of the best pours I've seen you do ever.
All right. Oban Distillers edition, 2006 to 2020, 14-year-old Highland. Yep, get it capped and breathing. I feel like we did a little bay.
Yes.
And did we? I think we did the Oban 18 as well in an earlier
I
season.
do remember the Little Bay. The 18 is a little bit more fun.
Yeah, but it has been a while since we've had an Oban.
Yes.
Yes.
I would say actually I think the Little Bay may have been season 1.
Could you see if you know anything about it?
Alright.
And I'll say that what I know is, and I'll say 73, but maybe it's 54. But one of their things is the distillery is a limited number of steps to the sea. It is in a coastal town, and I believe that town dates back to the Neolithic ages. It perhaps was some sort of artifacts discovered in some caves nearby. And I might be making things up, everybody. But that's something that I recall about Oban. A Western Highlands
Yeah.
which means it's closest to the east coast of the United States. Am I getting something right here?
Yeah, no, yeah, actually, that's pretty much where it's at.
Yeah.
I'm sure our graphic will show exactly where it is.
Yeah, it's north. I can't think of much else to say about the Oban distillery off the top of my head. Are you pulling anything factually interesting?
Principal expression of its whiskey, the 14-year-old has a label design incorporating a summary of the town's history, settled by the Mesolithic cave dwellers before 5000 BC, later by Celts, Pelts, Picts, and the Vikings.
So I got something right there.
You did. So, but I will say this: they don't have your edition. They do have the Oban 14-year-old.
Right. So this book, of course, is a slightly older printing, so it won't have the Distillers editions. Oh, there is one here. It's a different year.
Yes.
But they're talking about fragrant, edible seaweed, peaches, very complex, smooth and bigger, salty, nutty, peachy. And then it finishes as the salt comes rolling back like an incoming tide.
Okay.
We won't know for sure if that's what we're going to experience, but that is a previous Distillers edition. And we also know at 43% that it's above the minimum 40%.
Correct.
Yes. So we should be experiencing a little bit more flavor connected to that higher ABV, though clearly we're not at an elevated ABV, which would be 46 and above. Which I'm just curious. We're gonna get a color and a nosing here. I'm just curious if they're talking anything about chill filtration or natural color on the label. I see nothing. And so what we know is at those lower ABVs, it is not uncommon for chill filtration to take place to maintain a clear liquid if somebody puts an ice cube in.
And to the layman, what exactly is the chill filtration?
Well, if folks want to pay attention to our WTF series, there's actually an exploration of that.
All right.
Yeah.
Very well played.
Yes. All right. The Oban Distillers Edition, 14-year-old.
I do like the Obans. We've had good luck with those.
All right. Should we get into some color?
Yep.
All right. Here you go, buddy. All right.
So.
Oh, I like this seat. This position allows me a nice view of the color. Well, we know we have a 14-year-old. What we don't know is, are we former sherry casks? Are we entirely ex-bourbon casks? Are we virgin oak? What we don't know is any of that. And so the fact that we don't have this hugely deep color, again, lends itself to the 14-year.
See, and this is where I'm going to say the bottle is much more deceiving than it looks. Because I was going to throw out a word that our esteemed friend that we had couple episodes ago,
Ethan from Acker Wines?
Yeah. He used the word mahogany, which I was like quite taken aback that he was throwing like colors out, and that's what the bottle looks like. But in the glass, it is much lighter.
It is much lighter, and I think the mahogany you're noticing in the bottle is the top half of the bottle.
Correct.
So I think we have some shadowing going on,
maybe.
contributing to that. So if I'm going to pick a color, it's easy to go back to maple syrup and really start to think about a light amber.
Yes, I would even throw out medium. I mean, it's got.
You think it's a little darker?
It's got some color to it.
Yeah.
More so than some of the other pulls that we've had.
Yeah. So it's got some sort of classic whiskey coloration.
Without doubt.
Yeah. So why don't we see what we experience on the nose? Pretty easy.
Yeah.
Trying to think about that.
Sweet.
Right, or any of that Oceanside, because we know it's an Oceanside distillery.
I'm not really picking up the ocean.
No saltiness.
Or maybe at the very end.
Some caramel?
Could be caramel, but it's something with a little bit of like that, maybe the salt brine.
Oh, brine, that's a good word.
At the very end, as that sweetness disappears and you feel it over there. Your nose hairs.
Yeah, the alcohol sort of is the beginning, and then it sort of drops off into these other, maybe this caramel, maybe some of this brininess at the finish.
Yeah.
It doesn't come across as intimidating.
No.
Yeah.
Not by any stretch of the word.
Yeah.
It smells great, actually.
Yeah. Well, shall we see if it tastes great?
Yeah, why don't we?
The Distillers Edition Oban, 2006 to 2020, a 43% ABV, a Highland Single Malt Scotch Whisky, Western Scotland, Northern Highlands.
Cheers.
Cheers. All right, so first I'll just declare that was easy.
Yes.
Right. And I don't think that I'm going to find this super complex, but rather focused on a couple of notes.
Okay.
And so, very smooth in the front, no burn, but as it rolls back, it seems to sort of develop its character, which is, and I'm going to go, Malcolm, I'm going to go with light, with some, maybe some earthy tones that linger a little bit as it drops down, no burn, an element of sweetness, but maybe that's the ocean air. I'm not finding the brine on the taste.
Okay, so I'm gonna, as it traveled back, and I'm going to back you up on this. You certainly don't have anything to fear from the front, but there's almost like this spike of coolness as it rolls over the, I'm going to call it the curve of your tongue before it starts to head down. And then you almost get that feeling that you are by the sea. And that earthy tone, I'm thinking, is more of that, maybe the seaweed, maybe the brine.
Some wet sand?
Maybe some also that you could possibly throw in. Maybe there is a nutty feel to it, but it's definitely.
It really does feel like it's a little bit of a competition, not a marriage of just a couple of notes.
Yes.
Right. We're not trying to dig around and find 8 or 12 notes. And again, not a criticism, right? All whiskeys really have proven to be very different.
And I even throw out like. It's almost like it's menthol. It's got this cooling sensation just before you swallow it.
I appreciate that cooling idea.
I mean, it really does. I
keep
thinking I've got ice in it, but I don't. But it's got this like overwhelming, like you get this cool sensation as it starts to disappear.
Do you feel like we're in a, and so we'll do some research and maybe we'll get it up on the episode in a TBWD fact. Do you feel like we're in a bourbon cask or a sherry cask or a virgin cask? And so on 3, why don't we declare a cask we think has been used on this?
Right.
Okay, so virgin, bourbon, or sherry
right.
On 3. 1, 2, 3.
Bourbon.
Sherry.
I'm going to say this because I don't feel I'm getting that sweet.
I feel like on my second pull,
The sherry,
I found it.
But I definitely feel like I've got some sort of like influence. Yeah. There's something there that's underlying everything that I'm tasting.
Perhaps our best case outcome could be bourbon cask finished in sherry.
Perhaps. It would be interesting to see how we do on that. But I just like, I don't feel like having tasted so many of our bottles that we have that have been finished in sherry. It doesn't have that overwhelming sherry feel to it. Like I don't get it from the nose. I certainly don't get it from the taste. I get more of this beefier.
Yeah. And I may be very wrong and end up looking foolish, but I guess I was leaning towards one of those very dry sherries and not one of those heavily sweet sherries.
Actually, okay.
Yeah.
Now you throw that spanner in the works.
Yeah.
Now I can start to see where you're coming from because that's the feeling I get. I don't get that sweet.
Right. It's not super sweet.
No.
I absolutely agree with you.
And
Speaking of super sweet, are you thinking water to knock this down at all? Because I'm not. At 43, I think we're at an acceptable ABV, and I don't feel as if I'm missing something.
I'm going to tell you, I'm in agreement with you, but I'm going to do it just because.
Okay.
I think it expands the way we cover our whiskeys, and it gives me an opportunity to freaking say, "Oh, I was wrong."
Yep. And I bet you'll say it leveled out.
Yes.
And then I was going to ask about, we've got 3 different chocolates out here, and then some 18-month cheddar.
So on that note, I'm going to tell you.
So I'll just say we have an orange infused, a blueberry infused, and a sea salt cheddar. Chocolate.
I'm going to throw that sea salt chocolate into this mix to see if I can bring the ocean out.
I was thinking the same thing.
Though I was heading towards the cheddar because I'm now starting to appreciate this cheese and whiskey gig that you got going on. It's come a long way since season 1 that I'm actually like, oh, well, maybe that's the way to go. But I'm going to try this with water.
So you're getting cheesy?
I'm getting cheesy.
So I think we're both after the sea salt chocolate, which is this one.
So, to be boring, yeah, it did level it out. But it also expanded on that backside. I didn't get that cooling sensation that I had this the first time around. But it also made this drink seem more elongated. That it now comes from like the middle of my tongue and then goes back through. And then you don't get that almost like punchy cooling. It's now just
So no additional flavors.
Nope.
Not enhancing anything particularly.
Not really.
Maybe sort of turning the volume down on some of the present flavors already.
Which we've come to the conclusion that most of the time when we've added water to our drinks, that's what we've experienced.
Especially in these below 46%
Correct.
ABVs.
Correct.
Yes.
It certainly rounds off things, and but I don't think we really needed to add water to this.
Well, that's that sea salt chocolate. This is a 70% dark cacao. Oh, I can pick up that sea salt and chocolate. This is a mostly a chocolate with just a hint of salt. I feel like that brings out some saltiness in the whiskey.
I know one thing, I empty my glass.
I got you. I feel like I found some salt in that whiskey.
Now all of a sudden it feels like you're by the seaside.
Do you think the fact that we're having a rainy day here in southern New Hampshire is contributing to sort of that moisture in the air, the seaside, all that going on? This may be the right whiskey for today.
I think a lot of the whiskeys in here are the right whiskey. I can't kid you on that one. But there is probably that dreariness, that wetness that you feel emotionally that you can start to distill from this glass. Yeah. You can actually start to be like, oh, you know what? This would be like a wet day at the seaside, and I'm like trying to get myself going, or
this might be just another day in Northern Europe.
That too. But you were trying to enjoy the day the best you can, and this is the way you approached it by grabbing this bottle, popping it, and being like, oh, you know what? I'm by the ocean. I'm going to deal with this.
I still had some of that chocolate there, just lingering in my mouth. It really does seem to open up some of the saltiness.
It does.
Yeah.
I held that in there for a while, and I also had some chocolate on the back of my tongue. Now I can definitely taste that salt.
And I just want to say, everybody, when we talk about saltiness, we're not talking about like a teaspoon of table salt, and you're like, oh, right, you've put too much on your mash or something like that. This is really sort of an essence of saltiness. It's a sea air.
Yeah, it's the feeling
you've been swimming and you've licked your lip just a little bit after you've wiped it, and there's that little bit of salt water still there.
It's the feeling you get when you're driving by the ocean and you roll your windows down and you get that sensation.
That salt air comes in.
I'm by the sea.
Right,
That's what this feeling really is all about, and that's what makes it freaking interesting that the bottles or distillers can actually do this, that give you that sort of feeling.
Right. And so we have to, understand the water supply. We have to understand where they've warehoused this. Wood is this permeable thing. Air gets in. We talk 14 years in casks. There's a lot going on here. I'm enjoying this Oban. I'm glad that we ended up having to put a little more in our glass.
Like I said, we haven't gone wrong with the Obans yet, and I know that's another one of these ones where I predominantly a Speyside person, but now knowing that Oban, being a Highland, I have no issues being like, oh, you know what? If that was on the shelf and it was something I could go pick up. I'm like, oh, I'll grab one of those.
Yeah, yeah. This is
Never disappointed.
we don't do the money thing here, but I will just say this in terms of accessibility. These Distillers editions are in the high 2 digits, so even it may be a splurge, but it certainly, generally speaking, isn't oh my gosh price range. So these are accessible.
A well-worthy splurge.
And worth the maybe not buying 2 bottles, saving up to get 1 bottle. These Distillers editions are worthy of an event.
And you got to remember, I mean, this is going to last you for a while. Well,
Yeah.
you know, the situation, but most of the time you're buying a bottle, it's lasting you, you know, you're looking at half a year, maybe 2 years before you even finish it. Well.
This guy. We're going to get a TBWD fact up about that statement. So why don't we sort of start to wrap it up? I just want to ask you, Mel, has it felt okay in this setup that we've had here?
You know what I enjoy about this setup a bit more, and this is the way I'm going to say it, is I'm actually talking to you about this now.
It's a little easier. We're just
Correct.
like, we're
I don't
in a
feel
conversation.
like I have to strain my neck or like...
You're talking to the
stuck.
bartender, the patron, right? We're just over the bar
Yes.
to each other.
I've enjoyed this. And I feel much more relaxed because
Yeah.
I'm not stuffed in that corner.
Right, and I don't have to spin to you and give you that anxiety of the opening.
Correct.
Yes. So, why don't we come to the end? I believe, speaking of Northern Europe, we're traveling to Finland for our toast this afternoon.
I don't see how we're not running out of these things.
And so in Finland, they have this idea of bottoms up, or I guess the translation is roughly knock back the glass. Right, knock it back, mate.
Yeah.
And so we don't have any help on pronunciation.
I
So
apologize.
I'd like you to not pronounce the first word in English. You know, I'd like you to.
But I believe that's how it's pronounced.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
If you think of it, it's like
Oh.
Finnish, German, blah, blah, blah. That's how it
okay.
wouldn't be freaking.
I was gonna go with.
Really? With an E, not an I.
I was gonna go with an I, but I was gonna maybe sort of cut it just a little bit short so it didn't say it. But that's okay. And then the last one is sort of like some relative of a small fish, right?
Yes.
All right. So in Finland, knock back the glasses is
Die glasa kippen.
That's. I think that salted 70% chocolate was the right match.
Yeah, that's.
I don't think a blueberry or an orange chocolate would have made as much sense.
No, I think that would have twisted the taste.
I think it would have been too much of a dominant flavor.
Correct.
Right, because of this lower ABV, regardless of the cask it was previously held in. I think what we don't want to do is try and dominate that experience.
No, I think that was enough to bring out that seed taste that you're looking for.
And chocolate is a subtle flavor in many levels.
Correct.
Right, and so these infused chocolates really also dominate the chocolate experience.
And it's like one of those things where you get the punches of salt.